Hi everyone, this is Sean from Hancock Guitars. Today I'm going to be unbundling this pack of tops that's been drying, Camphor Laurel tops, and we're going to have a look at those. I remember when I packed these up, they had some beautiful grain in it, so hopefully it's going to be something enjoyable that I can share with you guys. So I'm going to start by cutting the bundling off here. So these have just been stacked with little pieces of bamboo in between them. They're actually sade sticks. And that's there to let the air get to both sides of the wood. That's important when you're drying timber. You want the air to get to both sides of the wood and let the moisture out and let it season. This wood hasn't been sticked out for too long because it was already, I think it was about 20 years old when it was cut, so it was very dry. But we do this still to acclimatise it to the conditions in the workshop. As you can see, these are all what's called bookmatched. So they get sliced off in sync, so each one has a symmetrical grain. This one's not so symmetrical on that side. See, that side's actually better. So you can see it's actually like a mirror of each side. They call it bookmatching because basically you're opening them up like a book. So you can see that's got some nice grain in it, a little bit of a crack there. So these are the sort of things we look for when we're grading wood, is these sort of defects. Hopefully when you put your template on there, it'll be well outside the perimeter of that, and we can draw around that with a pencil. We'll find that in these there'll probably be some that are very similar. So some of these have been thicker pieces and they've had 4 slices taken off, so you get 2 tops almost exactly the same. So look at that, that's a really nice piece. It's just got this beautiful, it's like fire coming up through it here. And then we've got the other half of that one there. There's a few little defects, like here, little crack. And then it's got a bit of a crack here. So this would probably be a second top, even though it's a beautiful piece of wood. And it'll be priced accordingly to that grading. Something like that crack too, it can actually be filled with a bit of like cyanoacrylate, which is just another fancy word for super glue. And if you do that properly, it's as strong as wood. It's just a bit of extra time to put that in there and sand it back. So that's, you can see exactly the same as the other one almost. What I'm going to do is actually put a bit of metho on there and show you guys. I use metho for this, not water, because once you put it on there, it's going to evaporate very quickly and it's not going to cause the wood to warp too much, and it also just brings the grain out nicely. So you can see what sort of guitar that would make. I mean, that's going to be pretty amazing when it's on the top. These are drop tops, by the way, so they're thinner than a carved cap, so they're intended to go over the top of an electric guitar, cover like a more of a plain piece of body timber. This one's, I think this is actually the same piece of wood from the first top we looked at, so that's a nice piece as well. I'm going to put a bit of metho on that as well, just so you can see. See, look how much that pops when you get the metho on there. Like it looks kind of plain to start with, and then it starts to look really good. So this is Camphor Laurel, by the way, if I didn't mention that before. That's a timber that's grown extensively in Australia. It's, I think it's an imported species, but it's been growing here for years and years. You see the big trees around like my area, and you know, south and north of here, big green trees, big root bases, and people sometimes need to get rid of them, so they cut them down, and it just happens that it's got this beautiful wood inside, which to me it has some of the most amazing grain around. It's a bit like koa, like Hawaiian koa wood, I think, but a bit lighter coloured, but in terms of its beauty, I think it's kind of equal. Nice sort of symmetrical grain patterns, good figure. There'd be a lot of end grain in this. Unfortunately, it's got a bit of a chip there. Let's see how that is. It's not on that side. We might even be able to flip that around. You can do tricky things like that. You can sort of put it that way around, and then if you put your template on there, you know, there's a good chance you can actually save that piece and get full first grade top out of it. Little crack there, so all that's taken into consideration. Often you're not going to get this kind of perfect, well, not perfect, but great looking timber without some flaws, and as long as you can fill those and you're aware of them, that's not a problem. So that's like, it's probably my favorite yet. It's just got this wild red figuring through it, nice flames going in all different directions. When I store these two, or when I put them to one side, I leave them with the metho facing out, because you want that to evaporate out of there. You don't want it sort of sitting together all day, causing the wood to potentially warp. These are all pieces that are going to be sold on Australian Luthier supplies. There's another nice piece. It's a bit plainer, but this one's very like flawless. There's no cracks. That's sort of the trade-off you often get, is less cracks, but you also get less of that intense figure in it. But that's still very nice, very symmetrical, nice red figuring through it. And what we got here, and another nicely figured piece. I think something's gone wrong there, and it's actually not mirrored. So often when you flip it, see, that comes back to being the right way around. So the other thing that's interesting, when you slice this wood off, it's not perfectly, the grain doesn't travel through it perfectly straight. So you'll get one side that'll be more matched than the other. So you can see, like taking this bit of grain here, for instance, that's pretty matched on this side. If you flip it over, and see, it's not as matched on that side. You've got, you know, it's doubling up here, and this side's a bit darker. So sort of as the grain's traveled through that 6 mils of thickness on each piece, it's changed. So it's not like a synthetic material where it stays the same. It changes as it moves through the boards. So you want to try to pick the side that's got the most mirrored grain pattern. So that's quite nice. Got another pair of the same. These are actually nicer. They actually don't have any cracking in them. The previous two had a little crack there. You can see by the time it's gotten to these two, that's gone out of it completely. So you got really nice wood. So this would probably be a first grade. That other one's potentially a second grade. And we've got the last pair here, the last top. These are a bit different because they're actually a bit thicker. They're for a carved top, for an arch top style guitar like a Les Paul or something like that. The drop top's about 6 mil, these are about 16 mil. So I'll put some metho on that finally. That's another beautiful top, lots of even figure on it, a couple of interesting streaks and this effect through there. Well, that's all unpacked. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching that pack of Camphor Laurel get checked out and graded. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, and I look forward to showing you some more of our timbers in the near future.